Welcome back, Math 140 students. This is still me, Cindy Enrigue, your professor, and we're going to be going over section 5.3, which is adding and subtracting polynomials. So here we go. We're going to start on page 12 of the guided lecture notes, and you guys should all have that in your Canvas page. All right, so we are adding and subtracting these polynomial terms, and we want to make sure that we write it in descending order. So last time we talked about descending order, and remember that meant from biggest degree to smallest, or biggest exponent to smallest. So that's what it means for it to be in descending order of degree. So we want to make sure that we rewrite this, and the way I'm going to rewrite it is I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I group them together according by exponent or degree. So here's an M3 and here's an M3. And since we have addition, then we're just adding these terms together. So I'm just going to rewrite it. I have my M3 plus my 2M3. Okay. Now for the next one, I have M squares. So M squared and an M squared. So I'm going to go ahead and write those together. So a negative 9m squared and a positive 3m squared. The next thing that I see that I'm going to have is, well, okay, I see that I have an m term, and that's the only m term that I see. So a plus 5m. And the last thing that I see is a negative 4 and a negative 1. So negative 4 and negative 1. So now I can start adding these things together, these terms. And really this coefficient on M3, it's really a 1 if it's not there. So adding those together, I'm going to have a 3m to the third power. Those both have an m squared. So negative 9 plus 3 is going to give me a negative 6m squared. And of course that positive 5m, it did not combine with anything. It's kind of like a lone wolf, so I just leave it alone. And I have negative 4 and negative 1 that are going to combine together to give me a negative 5. So all of these terms is going to be my answer. 3m cubed minus 6m squared plus 5m minus 5. Now for the next one, we have to be more careful. The reason why we have to be more careful is that now we have a subtraction. So I actually have to distribute that subtraction thing, that subtraction sign to everything before I can combine like terms. So I'm going to rewrite this. I have a negative 7h squared and negative 8h plus 1. And this is where I'm actually subtracting the entire term behind it. So it's going to be a positive 3h squared, a negative h, and a positive 4. Notice how all the signs on the inside changed because that negative kind of changes the sign. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this so I can have them grouped together nicely by their exponent. So I have an h squared and I have an h squared. So I have a negative 7h squared plus a 3h squared. I also have an 8h and a negative h. So I'm going to write those together. So a negative 8h and a negative h. The other thing that I see is that I have some constants. I have a positive 1 and a positive 1. Sorry, positive 1 and a positive 4. So positive 1 plus 4. So now I'm going to add these terms together. So negative 7 and positive 3, that's going to give me a negative 4h squared. And now I have my negative h and negative 1h. You can think of that as a 1 there. So I'm going to have a negative 9h. And I also have positive 1 and positive 4, which is going to give me a positive 5. So now I end up with a trinomial answer. It's 3 terms. And we know that a 3-term polynomial, we say it's a trinomial. Okay? Now, number 3. We're still adding and subtracting terms. Because the term in the middle is addition, then I know I can start adding these terms together. And of course, I know exactly what you guys are all thinking. Oh my gosh, fractions. That's okay. We can deal with fractions. You can either do the side work over to the side, or you can actually use your calculator, guys. This class allows you to use calculators. Make sense of that. So, okay, here we go. Let's start highlighting some of the terms that we're going to be adding together. Here's a w to the fourth, and here's a w to the fourth term. So we're going to be adding those two terms together. So I have a 5, 6w to the fourth plus a negative 4/9 w to the fourth. Now I don't have any w3's, so that's okay. So the next thing I'm going to look for are w squares. So w squared is here. So I have a negative 2/3 w squared and a positive 1/6 w squared. The other thing that I see is I have this negative 3/8 w. And actually, I'm going to change the color there. I actually wanted green there. Doesn't matter, but I like to color code my notes. So this is a negative 3/8 w. And the last one that I have all by myself is a positive 1/2 and a negative 2. So positive 1/2 and a negative 2. So now I've grouped them together. So now all I have to do is grab your calculator, and I'm going to add these fractions together. So 5/6 plus negative 4/9. When I put that into my calculator, I'm going to get that my LCD is 18, and I'm going to have a 7/18 w to the fourth power. And now I have my w squared terms, so negative 2/3 plus 1/6 is going to give me a negative 1/2 w squared. And I have this green term that never combined with anything else because there's no other w terms. So I have a negative 3/8 w. And then over here I have a positive 1/2 and a negative 2. So negative 2 plus 1/2 is going to give me a negative 3/2. And so I end up getting a 4-term polynomial as my final answer. Okay. So keep going on. We have some practice problems. I'm not going to worry about those. You guys are going to have plenty of problems to do on your homework. And so that's going to be the end of section 5.2. Okay, thank you guys.